Hello everybody! Today I want to talk about Lilium, ticker symbol LILM. They had an earnings call earlier today. I covered it live and I wanted to give you a breakdown synapse and my own thoughts about where I think Lilium is going. Lilium, if you don't know, is something called an evtol, which stands for electric vertical takeoff and landing. Imagine a jet that looks like an actual jet that can take off and land on any helipad. Q1, they spent $67 million, which is less than they spent last quarter. They currently have $331 million in the bank, in their bank accounts, so they're good for the entire year. The anticipated spending for this next year is only $265 million, which gives them an extra quarter of reserves. They also opened up a line of credit that gives them a $75 million line, but they would have to dilute the shares and give the shares to the bank in return for that $75 million line. But they only need to use it as needed. They changed up their design and added something called running landing gear. Before they could only take off vertically and land vertically. Now they added this landing gear that doesn't really take up too much weight. It was very easy to add, which gives them an additional capability to land in certain circumstances. And a running landing is a lot less battery intensive as an actual evtol landing. Currently, they have a 20% reserve, so they can actually travel 20% more than what they say they could in case they need it for emergency purposes. I actually like that they added this landing gear. I think it only makes sense. Why not take advantage of conditions if conditions are there? And it brings up an additional safety measure for every single jet. They optimized the fuselage design, and fuselage is just a very fancy way of talking about the main cabin. They optimized it to just make it more comfortable. This is where the main design change happened. They used to have 36 different engines, those little engines. Imagine the engines on a drone. Those engines is what actually powers it. And you have the wings, and those engines are on the wings. Well, what they did is they had 36 of them. They increased the diameter by 10%, and now they only need 30 of these rotators, these engines, whatever you want to call them. By doing this, they also decreased the number of batteries they need. Instead of 12, now you have 10. So there's always a 3-to-1 distribution of rotors to battery. The main thing is because they increased it by 10%, they can now add more acoustics inside of the engines, which is going to do a lot more sound dampening and is going to sound super quiet as they're flying. And also by increasing the size, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain, and there's going to be less maintenance costs because instead of 36, now you have 30. And because they're bigger, it's easier to get into them, which means the cost of maintenance is going to be cheaper. They locked up a deal with CONSULTATION, who's going to actually make their battery production. They said in the future, battery production capabilities is definitely going to increase. Currently, they have a 250-kilometer physical range and 175-kilometer operational range. And they can go around 150 miles per hour as they fly in the air. They mentioned that they have a lot of partners that they're working with. The partners are Honeywell, Denso, Aeronova, CustomSolves, and LiveNet. I mentioned LiveNet. They're going into research and development. They mentioned that around 2 weeks ago. LiveNet produces some of the most efficient EV batteries on the market to a lot of big brands like BMW. They're currently getting certification in Europe, and they're going to use that same certification for America. They currently passed 2 audits. You need 4 full audits to get certification, and they believe they will get full certification at the end of 2022. They increased and doubled the number of flights that they're doing every single week. Right now, they have something called a Phoenix simulator flight, which means it's an unmanned flight, and they actually accomplished wind-to-wing flying. What does that mean? evtol is up and down with the engine. They're actually able to now catch the wind on the wing, and the airplane is able to fly on wind power. It might not sound like a big deal, but think about it. When you actually take off, when you got to go straight, now they're able to go straight like a regular airplane because of the wind. This is actually a monumental step, and as far as they say, the first in evtol history. They filed for over 70 patents since they started their company. Their company started in a little garage, and now they have over 700 employees. They also hired a new CEO, Daniel, who's the old CEO, and actually the chief engineer is now going to concentrate on engineering innovation. And they actually got a guy called Kraus. Kraus is the former CEO of Airbus, and Airbus has a project called the A320 family. Those are those airplanes that has 3 seats on the right, 3 seats on the left. And we use that for short and mid-distance travel within the United States. Well, he was in charge of that project, and he's the reason why that project came to fruition. He's going to take charge of Lilium in August, and I really do think this is a step in the right direction. This is going to show that the company is moving in the right path, and it's going to bring a lot of know-how into the company. And Daniel now, instead of having to run the business and be the chief engineer for innovation, now he can not run the business and just worry about being a chief engineer. Who better to run the business in aviation than an aviation superstar like Kraus? He has all the keys to all the doors that need to be opened. That's a fact. And by them hiring him, I think it shows a lot of initiative, and I think it shows that this company is very serious in the growth that they're trying to accomplish and actually be a player in this game. During their last test flight, they were able to accomplish 70 knots. 1 knot is approximately 1.15 miles, so 70 knots is around 80 miles per hour. The test flight before that, they only had 50 knots, and they will be increasing their test flights to 100 knots. They have a couple of shows coming up in July. They have a show in UK. It's called the Farnborough Air Show. And they said that they will start tours of their Munich warehouse shortly. Somebody asked them, are you doing any digital services for your clients? They mentioned that they are working with PALANTIR. As you know, Lilium is a SPAC that is invested into by PALANTIR, and by investing into Lilium as a SPAC, PALANTIR also gives them their Palantir Foundry platform, their Palantir Foundry Enterprise. I did a video about that earlier, showcasing Palantir and how it works. Lilium was very, very open about it and says that Palantir is a great partner. They are superstars and they are black belts in not only the technology, the data processing, but also in aviation. Palantir worked with Airbus, and I do think that Palantir put the connection between Airbus and Lilium. It was very nice to hear that Palantir is a great partner. They showcased that Palantir gives them preventive measures, that it does battery metering, that it does supply chain issues, and that they're helping them from A to Z. But very important, what they said is not only are they helping them with the engineering right now of Lilium, they said in the future they will power the Lilium suite that they will give to their customers. Lilium will probably build their own platform on top of the Foundry platform, because when they sell these airplanes, you do have to maintain the airplanes, you have to monitor the airplanes, you have to do all this data processing with the airplanes. So I guess they might even do data as a service in the future. When you buy one of the jets, you can sign up for a monthly subscription. I don't know, but they definitely did say that Palantir increases their revenue and increases their margins. I like this earning call. There's nothing really to say. You can't really do some crazy technical analysis, and you're investing in Lilium if you believe in their idea, if you believe in their dream, and if you can believe that an electric airplane is a reality in the future. And they have 3 models or 3 versions of one model. In all 3 versions, you have to have a pilot. One version is 6 passengers. The other version is going to be 4 passengers, a little bit more luxurious with like a table in the middle. And the third one is going to be when you're just shipping supplies, there's not going to be any passengers. The first one would be more like a taxi service. The second one would be more like a business service where you can actually conduct business on the airplane while you're traveling from point A to point B. And of course, the third option would be logistics, maybe with like companies like UPS and FedEx or personal delivery, whatever. Remember, they can take off and land anywhere that there are helipads. I believe there's over 10,000 helipads around the country. That's a massive amount of places that Lilium could definitely take advantage of. Now, in the future, they do want to do a 16-passenger plane, but they don't really talk about this. I did dig this up in former articles. Guys, Lilium will have a to-market product in 2025, so you just need to hold up around 3 years. Either you believe in the company or you don't, but when they say something like we were able to take off and now we have wind at our wings and we can fly off of the wind, that's what you want to hear. Now that they're hiring Klaus, who was the former CEO of Airbus, this is a huge piece of information, a huge piece of news, and then all of the research and developments, all the partnerships, all of the test flights. I mean, this company is definitely moving in the right directions. What else do you want from a new company? You could see that they're hungry. You could see that they want it. They do have groundbreaking technology, and they do have some crazy idea. Now, you got to believe, is this possible or is this not possible? If it is possible and they get to that point, then this stock has a bright future, and we all going to make a lot of money. Now, if they crash and burn, God forbid, pun intended, then we lose our money. This is a YOLO play. Do you believe in it or not? There's no real technical analysis here. It's just, will they make it or will they not make it? Thank you.